Hi, in this video I'm going to go through a demo of using a new extension that came out earlier in the week at the Microsoft Build conference, and what this allows us to do is to use GitHub Copilot to do a .NET upgrade, and kind of use the agent mode within Visual Studio to automate that kind of process. So the kind of whole process that I've gone through, I did one night, and it kind of took about 2 hours before I kind of stopped the process. And the main reason I stopped the process was I was running up against some rate limit issues with the actual GitHub Copilot Pro. I'm sure if I'd kind of upgraded to the GitHub Copilot Pro Plus, some of those rate limits would have gone away. But it's just to kind of show you really the process, and some of the quite cool features that are available. And this is ultimately it's a real world example, so it's not a kind of 5-minute demo really, that kind of some of the demos that you see online kind of go through, but ultimately it's not producing a fully functional application at the end of it, but it's just kind of go through that whole process of using this extension. So yeah, over to the demo. So what we'll do is we'll jump over to the dev VM and have a look at the kind of tutorial on the site. So as you can see here, it's kind of running through how it works, some of the guidance that it gives you, and then the kind of output that it produces, and then obviously it's talking about the tool that we need to use, some of the options that we need to set up, and then how to kind of run the upgrade process. So 2 different options, and we'll be using the right click option, but you can just tell it to upgrade the solution. That's pretty much it. So I'll just kind of download that extension and just install it. So it is quite a new extension. It's only been out a couple of days, so we'll just get that installed here. So that's running away in the background there, so we'll just install that. But I was quite excited to see this when I saw it kind of come out, because in one of the earlier videos that I've produced, I was trying to use the Copilot stuff to automate the upgrade, and this seemed like this would be a better fit. So just load this solution up, and we just need to tick a couple of options on there that are new. So this kind of details what this tool allows us to do. So migrate from .NET Framework, which was interesting when I saw that, because a lot of things just talk about core. So what we can do is we right click and do upgrade with Copilot. So it'll go away now, and kind of understand what the solution is, what the projects are within that, and ask us what version of .NET we want to upgrade to. So we'll say .NET 8 latest stable version. So I'll just go and do that, and then it'll ask us what the source branch is. So I've already kind of prepped this project and solution, so we'll use the current branch. The main branch is completely .NET Framework, so we'll use this branch here, so just tap that in. And then it'll ask us where we want to kind of do the upgrade to. So it's suggesting a branch name we use, so we use that. So again, I'm not having to kind of prompt it of, the working practices really, which is what in one of the other videos I've done, I was having to explicitly set up custom instructions and, kind of say, please make sure that you build it often, please make sure that you commit code. It's kind of setting up all of that, kind of code hygiene behind the scenes, and kind of taking care of that for us. So, it's kind of gone away now and analysed, and it kind of understands that some security issues, but I guess we can handle them later. That's purpose of this really is to go through the actual grade process. So it just go away and understand the projects. Like I say, there's 6 projects, I think, 4 web jobs, and a library and the MVC application. So just have a quick look to see what is done here. So yeah, so it's analysed what we're asking it to do. It knows that there's a couple of projects in there that need to be upgraded, and it's kind of suggesting some stuff, and it's produced, like I say, it's produced a plan for us to run through. What else have we got in here? So it knows that there's 4 projects that we don't need to touch. It knows that there's a load of packages we need to upgrade. It knows that we've got some library file there that needs to upgrade to .NET 8. And so yeah. And then we've got the obviously preview version of the README file that's produced. So yeah, I think we can now kind of continue with this. So we'll ask it to confirm that we're ready to proceed. So what's quite interesting is that straight away it's finalising the upgrade process, and it's produced a kind of progress of what it's going to do, which is quite nice in comparison to like I say, a previous video where I was having to prompt all of this. It's more of a structured approach to kind of doing the upgrade. So yeah, it's quite nice really, and it's kind of going through the library now and kind of understanding that there's quite a few packages that need to be updated. So some of these third-party packages are quite out of date. It's a 10-year-old application, so I expect there to be some problems with the upgrade process. It's a framework 4.8 project, so then there will inevitably be issues. But that's the kind of point of this exercise, is that it's a real world example. It's not a nice little test application that's just going to work first time. It's kind of showing the whole process, and bang, there we go, we've got a load of errors. Doesn't really know what to do with. It's kind of suggesting that we investigate this manually, which we can obviously do if we know the kind of code, but Copilot's kind of in control a little bit, quite a bit more so than one of my other videos, so we'll just ask it to kind of fix the error, really. Let's see what it does. So, like with all these things, we're not expecting it to be completely autonomous, but it's a bit better than having to kind of spoon feed it instructions. So it knows that this class needs to be modernized and use the kind of latest version, really. So that's kind of what its purpose is. So it will take some time. As I kind of said, it's committing code regularly. There we can see that there's some Git changes that it's making. We can look at the commits if we want to. But like I say, it's a bit more kind of targeted, really, than the other approach that I did in one of my other videos, where I was trying to use a simple prompt to kind of compare the three different types of AI models, whereas this is a kind of more structured extension that's using AI in a like I say, more structured kind of manner, and it's doing it in stages. So, like I say, it's understandable that this file's using an old third-party library, so it's quite way out of date. So it's, kind of made things, and it's, put a checkpoint in there. So now asking us if we want to continue with the tweet envy errors. So we'll just get it to do that. So we're down to 33 errors, which isn't too bad, really. Considering how out of date it is. Would you like me to start updating the get all followers? Yeah, let's do that. I tend to have found that it's best to not curveball Copilot and kind of let it lead with things, and then continue with that. So we're down to 29 errors now. So as kind of part of this process, I'll kind of speed things up as we go through the process, because like I say, the whole process took about 2 hours. So I'm not going to kind of publish the whole process, but I'll kind of zoom in on bits that are kind of interesting and relevant of the process. But it's quite interesting, this part of it, that we've got this third-party library that we're updating and fixing. So, and down to 27 errors now. So there will be parts of this kind of library that no longer work. I mean, you know, Twitter's no longer called Twitter anymore, so don't expect it to you know, be completely compatible. Would you like to proceed with the build? So I didn't ask it to do any builds this time, and you know, like I said earlier in the video, it's, you know, its kind of practices are to set up a foundation, but there's no point in trying to do the build at the minute because we've got 23 errors there. So we'll edit. Would you like me to start reviewing and fixing? Yeah, let's say that. So obviously going away and kind of updating some of this. You know, it's all that kind of TweetEnvy, Twitter, third-party library. So we'll just try to get past that as quickly as we can. Asking us to do another build. Again, I don't really think there's much point, but you know, try it. I'm not quite sure why it doesn't see all those errors in the error list, but we shall see. I did notice that some of the kind of interactions with Visual Studio were, it can't quite understand, but you know, so we've got 33 errors now. So yeah, we'll kind of get it to fix that as well. Up to 43 errors. So it looks like it's stopped, so we'll just give it a bit of a retry. Might have hit a rate limit again. This is quite a bit better, really, than the other approach that I was using in terms of the kind of rate limit side of things. I think it's probably because it's more of a an extension in Visual Studio. It's controlled as to how often it's hitting the Copilot API, but so there's obviously still quite a few errors with this third party issue 222. So it's obviously commenting out some code now. It doesn't quite know what to do with, which is quite interesting. I mean, obviously that's what a dev would do. That's what I would do if it was blocking me. And I wouldn't necessarily spend a load of hours on a particular area. I'd just kind of comment it out, move on, come back to it. So it's good in that sense, and now we're down to 22 errors. Still failed the build, but it looks like it's fixed the tweet envy errors. Do you want to move obsolete and use code? No, just proceed with the other errors. I'm quite a believer really of fixing 80% of the code in 20% of the time, and then spend the rest of the time kind of fixing and tidying, refactoring things afterwards. So we've got another three third-party libraries that needs to do something with. Now it's struggling to read the contents of some files. I don't quite know why. Files are there, so let's just let's I don't have access to the code for the third party. Not quite sure what it's asking for there. Let's see if we can get it to fix those errors. There we go. It's kind of kicked back into life a bit. Do you want to address the CSV or subscriptions? Please file the content of the file. Again, I'm not quite sure what it's asking there. I think this might be another issue with the Copilot chat interacting with Visual Studio and the kind of Git side of things. So if that's what it's referring to, I'm not really sure. Let's see. Let's tell it that we've got the files open. I wonder if it is something to do with the interaction between Copilot chat and Git. Very odd. Okay, we seem to have started back up again now, so it's modernising the Stripe third-party library. Kind of knows what he needs to do there. So let's modernise some of the string interpolation there. Let's just tell it that that's open as well. But we are down to 11 errors now from 222. But you know how these things kind of work. You make one change and you generate 50 million errors. So we're down to 9 now. So it's trying to build again. Now it's getting stuck on the SMTP. So it's going to fix it. That's quite good. So again, we haven't had to, kind of spoon feed it stuff. It's interacting with the error list and working away. Back to the subscriptions helper. So down to 2 errors now. That's pretty good. So scroll down. Yeah, it's getting a bit confused now with the Mandro library. It's updated it. Still kind of getting a bit stuck. So I'll have a quick look at what it's trying to do. Again, these are quite old libraries, so I mean it should be trained on code that's in public Git repos or GitHub repos. So it seems to fix that, but now we've got some errors. Let's just get rid of that. Let's try and retry it. So we'll continue with that now, and hopefully it'll carry on. So down to 11 errors again. So obviously, the Stripe third-party libraries changed quite a bit. So it needs to make quite a few changes to that. So we'll just let that continue. So I had to restart this kind of process just to kind of get things past the rate limit that was happening. So if it's repeating, that's why. So we kind of got down to 1 error now. Again, which is going to get back down to 2. Right, it seems to be getting stuck in a bit of a loop now. So you have fixed this just now, so I'm not quite sure why. Let's see if it will continue. Yeah, so it's going to update it. So, definitely fix this earlier. Let's just kick it back into life again. No, it's really struggling with this now. What you need to do. I like it. So you have AI to give you instructions. Yes, let's try that. Don't have access to that. Let's just kind of comment it out and move on. We know that the code won't function, but it's not a breaking kind of change. It just won't send an email. Let's just add a to-do, add it to the task list, get rid of the errors and move on. And this is quite a good example really where it's behaving in a kind of human manner. Let's try to kind of remove the blocker, and in the same way we would with a kind of human dev, and just come back to things. It might be at some point we kind of find that this particular bit of code isn't actually called, so I've seen it quite a few times where you spend hours and hours and hours on a bit of code that isn't actually called. So let's address these issues. There's no point carrying on with the upgrade process until we've fixed the build as much as we can. So it's getting the errors from the error list. This is a separate project. And this is another example where it doesn't understand. And I think it's because it's a separate project. It's only focusing on the library and the actual MVC app. So hopefully if it tries a rebuild, it'll see. So it knows now that it's a separate project that's failing. So we've obviously fixed the upgrade process but broken a project, which is let's get it to try to fix it in that project, so at least it builds. Like I say in quite a few of these videos, we need to make sure that we build stuff. We're not trying to commit code that won't build, but it's a project completely separate to what we're doing, but so it's kind of taking the same approach. So it is learning, that we do kind of want to move on. So there's obviously some code in here that's not quite right, so yeah, let's just add a to do. Good old comment out. But it's sometimes you just kind of need to move on. You can sit there for hours just plodding along at a piece of code that you're getting nowhere with. So it's now built. So yeah, cool. Right. Yeah, let's move on with the upgrade process. Actually, yeah, we'll make a checkpoint and commit the code. See what happens. So I suspect there's different parts of the extension that are working here. So it appears the workspace is not recognised as a Git repository. Right. It's definitely got a load of changes there. I wonder if this is another, like I said earlier in the video, where the extension's not interacting with Visual Studio's windows. It's perhaps on a different kind of context. Yeah, I'm still unable to access the Git repository. So there must be kind of two different parts of the process running. So let's just get it to generate a message for us. Yeah, that'll do. Let's commit that. Okay. So let's see whether we can move on now. That's very odd. But it wouldn't surprise me that things are running on different threads, and but yeah, that's kind of now focusing back on the actual upgrade process. So still going, so it's working out where in the process it is. Figured out that we were on the library file, and it's now completed that upgrade. So that's good. So it's done the kind of library part of it, and now the kind of troublesome part starts, where we have to try to upgrade the MVC 5 project. So like I say, I won't go through the entire process, because this will be quite troublesome, I would imagine. You've got all sorts of things, so it's not just kind of C# and .NET code, it's all of the JavaScript libraries. There's 2,253 file changes there, so we're just kind of making loads of changes there that are going to cause problems, I can see. So we'll carry on with it though. But like I say, it's quite a good process, and there's loads of kind of changes there. But it's committed them. Now, how much of that actually will work, I don't really know, but it seemed to have been happy with the process, and we're kind of moving on to the I guess the kind of point is, this is the .NET upgrade. It's not really interested in HTML and JavaScript as such, but again, kind of breaking things down into chunks, really, aren't we, so that we have something that's that we can progress with. So kind of fixing some of the libraries, modernising stuff to ASP.NET Core standards, 113 errors. So I'll probably speed through some of this. Let's just have a look at these files. Oh, I see. So it's completely wiped out all of the code. So I'm not quite sure why it's done this. There's no code there at all. So yeah, bizarre. It's the first time it's done it, to be fair, on this particular upgrade process. Do you want me to restore a previous implementation? Should I scaffold a new controller? Yes. Let's have a look. So it's not done anything with this file. So yeah, let's get it to restore previous version, just in case something's gone wrong. Yeah, I mean, it could be that, you know, some of the limitations of either of the process or of Copilot itself is kind of preventing that large file from being changed in one go. It was quite a big file, to be fair. Let's get rid of that. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, it's done the same with this. 1,000 lines of code, 800. So I wonder if it is the size of the files. Let's get rid of some of these. Oh. That seems to think it's been restored now, but there's loads of code missing. I wonder if it was that I was jumping around between windows or something like that, maybe. Let's try to leave it alone a bit. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not restored it. That's a bit worrying, that is, that A, it doesn't know that it's incomplete. You know, I mean, there's 144 errors there, but it's got half a file, and you know, it's kind of got the autonomy to commit changes. So it makes you kind of wonder, really, you know, what it's done behind the scenes. Let's see what's in the output. You know, kind of makes it even more important that we actually build the solution after it's made the changes, really. Could not run edit file. File size or content limits, there we go. See by running parts of it. Let's see if it will do that. But yeah, you know, kind of file size, I thought it was probably something like that, because they are quite big files. Let's see if this will do it all. No. Too large. Yeah. Let's see whether we can revert it. No, not recognised again. So there's obviously clearly a problem. I'll just undo those changes manually. Just get it to at least carry on. So, this is kind of one of the problems really, that it can't interact with Visual Studio in the same way that you would think it would. So let's see what happens now. Hit rate limit again. So let's try that again. So hopefully it should. No, it's definitely not liking this. Don't really know what's going on here. Word count below 0, that's a bit odd. Let's try it via the menu. Okay. So we can continue, or we can start again, but we'll just continue. So it's quite good that it's it's recoverable, and that it knows the state as well. It understands the branches that we're working in, and it's trying to do a build, which has failed, but it's to kind of expect. So yeah, we kind of just plowing through again, and seems to be carrying on. So we're down to up to 103 errors there, but at least it's got past. It seems to be a particular attribute that it's kind of struggling with at the minute, amongst all of the other kind of controllers. So I suspect that's something that was part of the MVC 5 .NET framework that we were using, that doesn't know what to do with. So it's replacing some session stuff there, which is upgrading it, modernising it to ASP.NET Core. So let's see if we can sort that one out, because that seems to be quite a big one in terms of the number of errors. So here's how I fix the code. Yeah. Let's try again. So now it knows. So it's many errors due to the MVC. There we go. So let's try migrating those custom attributes. So it's going to create a new attribute class, and then going to update all the controllers to use that. So it seems to think that that's what it did to fix it, but yeah. Okay, so it's an incompatibility issue, so let's see what happens. Let's retry it. So again, rate limit. Yeah, so obviously it's the first time we've really hit that. I can't see, but it is a pro plan, so maybe it's just a per hour thing or something. I mean, obviously at the time of recording this, Microsoft build's happening, so I'd imagine that could be problems at their end. So it's resumed it, or starting to anyway. Still failed to build, but you do get that nice option to resume it if there is problems like that. So that's quite good. You know, with all these things, we need to kind of be able to pause and resume. Still 103 errors. So, but it's quite clear that these kind of processes, you know, somebody recording a kind of 5-minute video of upgrading their Hello World type of, not quite that bad, but their kind of project. You know, it's not as straightforward as that, and this extension helps considerably, I would say, and that, you know, I can see some kind of real world uses. You know, for kind of legacy applications that haven't really been touched for that long, and you know, this certainly helps. You know, the kind of stage process. But let's have a look. Seems to be okay now. But yeah, I mean, we certainly, it would take quite a significant amount of time, more than, like I say, more than a quick 5-minute video of running through this process and bang, there we go, we fixed, migrated or updated to the latest .NET version. But these things are tools. It's all part and parcel of the kind of developer toolkit, really, that you use. These kind of tools to fix problems, help you overcome certain scenarios and speed things up. I'm not sure if it is a rate limit thing or not. It's coming up against. Certainly not the rate limit errors that I was having earlier, so I had to shut Visual Studio down and restart it again. I'm not quite sure what was going on there. Let's try to do the upgrade process again. So it started again, and it can see that there's an existing plan in place, so let's just continue with that. So again, checking the repo state, running through the process, trying to get back to where it was. I'm going to fix any errors, so starting a build again. So it must be something to do with the actual kind of rate limit side of things, or like I say, a problem with the Copilot side of things. Maybe it's limiting per hour or something like that. I don't know. I did have a quick look at the kind of licensing differences, and you couldn't do anything like this kind of size with the free version. There is the kind of Pro Plus version, but that's quite a bit more expensive. Let's see what's happening now. So we are going again. Yeah, but you can kind of see that the kind of questions that get asked are, if we're going to be spending this kind of money per month per dev, what are the kind of benefits really, and ultimately, I guess, if you're spending $40 a month and it saves quite a significant amount of time, then it's quite a useful thing to have and to pay for, really. But equally, you can see where Microsoft are making the money, and they're kind of giving you the kind of the tools to do these kind of things, and you can kind of see that quite a nice interface here. We've got the commits that were created. We've got the kind of process log. So we've got the tools available, but kind of got to pay for it as well. So yeah, but it has upgraded the kind of library. We've got all the changes that this made. It made a couple of commits. Changed some packages. Made some code modifications. So it's good in that respect that it's tracking exactly what it's been doing and categorizing it out into different things. So this is purely .NET based, as we can see. So the chances of getting a workable HTML and JavaScript application at the end of it's pretty minimal, I would say. But there we go. So yeah, so some of the layouts. Let's see if it will fix these. Yeah, so it's kind of telling us that we're going to have quite a lot of work on our hands to fix this HTML and JavaScript, and trying to use modern alternatives for bundling rather than the old MVC 5. So let's see if we can build it again and see if it can fix those. But I suspect it won't. Let's make sure they're ticked. So it is going to be quite a big job to migrate, by the looks of it. But that was the kind of point of this purpose. So it's talking about using Webpack and Web Optimizer for the front end. It's not going to build, but we'll try it. But yeah, like I say, the kind of purpose with this was to see whether it could actually upgrade this. Still failed. But yeah, we're quite a bit of work there, I would say. That we're asking it to do. It's a big old 10-year-old MVC5 application, and we're trying to take it right up to pretty much. I know .NET 8's not the latest version, but the kind of principles are quite different between the framework and MVC5 application, the ASP.NET Core version, Razor Pages. So it's kind of giving us some next steps, and kind of telling us that we should be making some quite big refactoring changes by the looks of it to convert over to that. So we'll kind of persist a little bit just to see what it does. yeah, we've hit the rate limit again. So yeah, so rate limit. So that's not really helping matters. But I mean, at the end of the day, we can see we've got a .NET upgrade. We've made some changes to the library file. We've started on the process of going through the actual MVC application, and we can go through the process of the upgrade. We've seen all the different changes that we've made to the kind of code structure, the NuGet packages. Copilot's made some modifications to the code. We've committed stuff to Git. We've modernised some of the changes. We've got some changes there. We can see the Git commit history that the actual upgrade process has made, so that's quite good in its own right. So I think maybe something that's sort of a simpler kind of process would be better suited for this. Obviously this is a real world example of upgrading the application, and we weren't expecting it to kind of completely upgrade it correctly, but it's done the best that it could with what we've given it. So yeah, I think obviously it's kind of as good as we can get ultimately, and we've got the kind of upgrade process going there, and we've got a plan that we can kind of work to. We've got some of the changes that it was going to make kind of prepared, but it's not bad. It's quite a decent kind of approach to modernising some of these .NET legacy applications. So it's certainly got its places, and it's certainly quite a useful tool in a developer's toolbox, I would say. It's something that's maybe not quite as complicated with the JavaScript and bundle. The MVC5 I had, then it'd be quite a good application. But there we go. So yeah, that's all for this video. I'm not going to progress any more with it, but I hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching.